We are very happy to have today with us two Greek venture capitalists, Ms. Alexandra Choli of Metavallon and Ms. Katerina Pramatari of Uni.Fund. Please introduce yourselves briefly so that we can proceed with our discussion. Alexandra?
Thank you. I think that if you had led it to us, because we are women, no one would speak. So thank you for giving the stage to one of us. So I'm Alexandra Choli. I'm very, very happy to be here with you, and congrats on this event. I see so many great women. I'm also very happy to be here with Katerina. She's my favorite. I think no man is here right now. So she's my favorite one from the entire investment world. So no one would tell Katerina, it's between us. So yes, I'm the founder of Metavallon VC. I started Metavallon as a non-profit, an incubator, and then an accelerator 10 years back, actually, when the startup ecosystem here was really non-existent at that point. And it has been a wonderful journey to see the ecosystem flourish, really. And very excited for what is happening right now with all the funds and all the activity and all the women entering the space as well. So this is me.
Thank you, Alexandra. And Katerina, Ms. Pramatari?
Yes. Hi, thank you. I'm also very happy to participate in this great event. And also, Alexandra, I think it's mutual what you are just saying. So I'm Katerina. I had my first startup experience when I was doing my PhD back in around 2000, 2001. And I remember I was in the hospital. Actually, I was giving birth to my second daughter when I was signing the startup creation documents back then. So I think I had it all as a woman, growing up, 2 children, doing a PhD and a startup back then. And it was a great experience, I can tell. And I think because of that, I gained so much power. And then I'm so supportive of entrepreneurship and of what we are doing. And I have to say, I think that was a privilege and a chance for me to be able to be in the university space, in academia, and be able to influence, if to the extent I could, actually, young people, and not just boys, but also girls. I'm in a department that has 50% males, 50% females. So I had, let's say, the opportunity to, or I was trying very hard to promote entrepreneurship in that environment, and doing that more and more. And lately in the Athens University of Economics and Business, setting up an incubator there, and inspired by all that work, starting a fund very close to the university and research space. Actually, the name was inspired by that. The initial name was, I had to think of a name in something like 10 minutes. So I said, okay, University Fund, Uni.Fund. Okay, so that was it. And we started this effort with Uni.Fund. We started operating in 2018 together with Alexandra. I think it has been a great opportunity for us and for the country through this EquiFund instrument, the creation of the new funds that has helped move the space to a next level, I think, and I hope. And I'm really happy to participate in this panel.
Thank you. And we're so excited to have you. And I've heard so many amazing things about both of you, actually. So we're really proud to have you with us today. Crunchbase News yesterday reported that global venture funding hit an all-time record high of 125 billion globally in the first quarter of 2021. Against the pandemic trend, against what we've all been through, it seems like VC is going super strong. Can you please share with us your experience on a general level, and then in particular as it relates to female-led startups and female-led innovation? Alexandra, we'll start with you. What do you think about the current status of VC in Greece and Europe in general, and as it relates to female-led startups?
Yes. So I feel right now we are at a very good level across, well, compared with Europe at large, to be honest. The ecosystem has really exploded, and it's not only the number of startups, it's also the successes. And this is important because, you know, sometimes we wonder, is it the chicken or is it the egg? Do we need a lot of startups, or do we need first the capital to come in? And the truth is that we first need the risk capital to come in. And it is obvious that at this time where we first saw this huge flow of risk capital come into Greece, we have seen so many startups being funded and really being created. And we also seen a lot of successes. So we already seen, and we're early stage funds, both mine and Katerina's. They are very early stage funds, and we've already managed to bring out a lot of next rounds and even exits in the market, and it makes me very, very hopeful about what we'll see in the future. And it's also been in areas both in marketplaces, so B2C perhaps solutions, but also in high tech and deep tech. So one of the companies that we saw an exit in was a deep tech company, was a semiconductor company. So would you believe that, you know, Greece would be one of the centers in Greece for semiconductor? But we are. So this is very hopeful. Now for women, this is a whole new, an entire new topic, and I'm going to share just a few things, and I'd also love to hear what Katerina has to say. The truth is that we don't see as many proposals from women as we see from like women-led startups, as we see other startups. So the representation itself, it's lower. It's not 50%, for example. So from that though, even for that, even less startups eventually, if we see the numbers, even less startups eventually get to be funded. And the truth is that that data don't lie. At the end of the day, whatever we say and however we rationalize things, it is the results, it is the data that tell the story. And what data say is that there is bias. And there is one thing that I want to say at this point, and again, I'd like Katerina to also share something. I hear from a lot of investors that there is no bias. If we see a good team, we invest in it. And to be honest, first of all, when this is coming from a male investor, it is first of all inconsiderate, to express the least, and a little bit insulting the most. And the most saddening is that the last time I heard this in a panel with several women, not one of the women opposed this in any way. Well, apart from me, I'm vocal in these things, to be honest. So why this statement is not truthful? Because it cannot be. Not only does it go against the data that we see, it goes against the essence, the meaning of bias, because bias is unconscious. You do not know you're biased. You rationalize your bias, you rationalize your decisions, and it is only visible as eventually in the data. So if I have to share something, is that, you know, I would advise anyone listening, if they ever hear this argument, please speak up and acknowledge kindly, of course, the opinion, and that this may be the case with the other person, but do go ahead and womansplain what bias is and why we, even women sometimes, unfortunately, make decisions influenced by it. It's not intentional, but it is what it is.
Thank you. Katerina, what's your experience being investing in female-led startups? What do you think about the status of the venture capital market in Greece in general? And by the way, do you see any concentration in specific segments as far as female-led startups are concerned? Share with us your experience, the challenges and the opportunities of investing in general as a woman and investing in women.
Yes, actually, I would like to agree a lot with what Alexandra said. I will even emphasize it a bit more because when I'm looking at our data, we have documented very closely all the cases we have reviewed with all the data, etc. And unfortunately, the numbers are really so small that you cannot really talk about statistics. Because the representation of female-led startups in the more than 1,500 cases we've seen, etc., is really very small. Now, what I hope will happen and what I believe, because when I see at entrepreneurial teams at a much earlier stage and at a younger stage, there the situation is different. So I see many more entrepreneurial teams with female founders or even female-led entrepreneurial teams, but these have not come up to the maturity level to talk to a fund. So I think and I hope that this will change and hopefully in the near future. But because the cases we now, or at least the cases we have reviewed over the last 3 years and we've invested in, I think are cases that matured over the previous years. This is the situation. Maybe though there is another phenomenon. Another phenomenon I've seen in corporate organization is that you have many women and there is there is no bias, gender bias in most sectors at the lower levels. But as we go up, then you don't find as many women. And maybe that's something that is the case in the entrepreneurship domain. So maybe while there are so many entrepreneurial teams where female representation is quite high or is okay, one would say, or is not so small, this might not happen. And as cases have to strive, because if you want to see a case coming from the initial idea, when there is an enthusiasm and entrepreneurial team, making it up to the level that it will gain the trust of investors to support it and grow further and scale, it means you have to insist, it means you have to fight, it means you need to find the way to make it happen. It won't happen automatically. And maybe a characteristic of females, of women, not as mothers, not in many other roles, but especially in business domain, entrepreneurship, is that we abandon our efforts maybe more. I don't know, maybe, I hope not. I'm trying to really insist that this should not be the case. But if that's the case, then it means that the entrepreneurship teams we see won't make it further. And this shouldn't happen. Mm-hmm. Well, I think I said it a bit complex, but the message I think was clear. Women need to insist to go higher and higher and stronger, and not just in that domain, everywhere.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your incubator is probably primarily supported by women, right? At the Economic University.
Well, yes, I will discuss about that. Before saying so, I will first say that while I was in, and I'm still, but I'm but let's say before entering this role as a VC, I had a full academic role with a research lab, leading a research lab, many PhD students. So a first exception was that I had so many female PhD students. Mm-hmm. In our laboratory. So in our group, we already had a positive bias towards women doing PhD. And I think that was again a bias, because it could have been, half and half, but it was not. And I was insisting so much for women and men in the group to run a balanced life and go for everything, both in their personal life and in their academic and let's say business life. And then this bias was somehow transferred to the incubator and the entrepreneurship system, center we have at the university, where again it's a female-led center. Angeliki, who's the managing director there, Ellie, Mariana, and Erifili, and Vasiliki, etc. I think they have the biggest percentage. This has gone very well up to now, maybe because of the empathy they have, etc. But I also insist that I think it's not female or male. I think it's you need a mix. You need well, I'm trying to find the word, but it doesn't come to my mind now. But diversity, I think, is the key thing.
An equilibrium.
Yes, and so that's why the new people entering the center are males. So if we have diversity and not bias one way or the other.
Thank you. Alexandra, how can experienced VCs as yourselves support female-led entrepreneurship in particular?
That's a good question. So I feel there are a few things that we can do, but I guess that we can do the whole. I think Maria put it best in one of our conversations, Maria Hala, that we definitely need role models, and not as in just highlighting some people, but really showing that this is possible by any woman. I grew up, I didn't grow up in Athens. I grew up in Agrinio, in a small town. I worked, all my way up, and I finished my mechanical engineering. I worked in basic jobs, let's say, and really worked myself up to where I am today. And I'm pretty sure a lot of women share this. But I feel that this is not a story that is often told, and it's important. To be honest, I'm not sure that we ourselves can do something. I think it's a lot up to the women themselves. And I guess this is also what Katerina may wanted to say, that sometimes women don't dare. We don't dare. We do not necessarily go for it. And all we have to do is go for it. Just make that proposal to the VC and try harder, and it only makes us better. I don't know of a single woman that this is not true, that they tried like there's no tomorrow, taking the world as it is, no excuses, and they did not come out better for it. And the truth is that there are worse things in this world than being a woman. So we have many strengths that open doors, and sometimes literally open doors. So it's worth not focusing on the barriers, but really going for it and making that proposal and trying to get perhaps a larger percentage in a company that I often see. I often see teams where a female has this smaller percentage, but for no good reason. So, go for it. I think this is the only thing that we can do.
Thanks, Alexandra. And by the way, I was thinking, as you presented yourself, you confirmed one of the stereotypes about female investors or entrepreneurs. That is that of humility, because you mentioned that you experienced an exit success in deep tech without mentioning that it was an amazing success story, one of the biggest ones in the Greek startup ecosystem. Can you please just say it yourself in your words, because you didn't give us any details whatsoever. You totally faced this huge success story.
But it wasn't a woman-led startup. So
it was a woman-led investment thesis.
That is true. That is very true. So yes. So Think Silicon. It's the exit that we did. It's very very recent. The company was acquired by one of the largest public traded companies in the US, Applied Materials. Again, on deep tech, the company had 10 patents. It was a really, they were worth, this exit and this success. And also, it's not necessarily an investment that everyone would do. It was a risky investment, as everything in very early stage in investing. So, I don't know what else we could say here, Niovi.
No, toot your horns, girls. That's all I have to say for women. And maybe, Katerina, you'll agree with me that the talent is there, the PhDs are there, but the thirst to monetize has to be boosted for women. Because it's great to be, taking care of everybody, as the amazing ladies whom I've met, like met Ellie at your accelerator. But let's monetize the talent, let's be in the forefront.